Hey everyone, Callie here again. Today I'm bringing you game 2 of our GLC championship from a recent tournament over at Gubu Hobby in Snellville, Georgia. We play GLC every weekend over at Gubu Hobby, so if you do happen to be in the area, please come check us out. Again, that is in Snellville, Georgia. With that said, let's get into this dragon versus water game. We do have a little bit of technical difficulties, unfortunately, at the end, so we do miss out quite at the end, but I will still be able to show you the vast majority of this fantastic game. That said, let's get into it. Coming up in this game, we've got Dragon versus Water for another game of GLC. This is round 2 of our September Gym Leader Championship at Gubu Hobby. Looks like our water player is starting off first, and they've got a Pokegear. Starting off with Alolan Vulpix, very good Pokemon to start off with. It's got that beacon attack, which if they were going second, would allow them to find 2 water Pokemon and put them into their hand. For now, finds that ball guy with Pokegear 3.0. Typically early in the game is when you want to find that ball guy, so another good card for our water player to find. Meanwhile, our dragon player has that, actually not sure how to pronounce that Pokemon's name, Dratigan? I don't know. It's not really helping right now. It's more of a Pokemon to take a KO after one of your Pokemon has been knocked out. But looks like our water Pokemon, our water player passes. Tag call from our dragon player, likely going to find Guzma and Hala, as well as Cynthia and Caitlin. Those are the typical tag team cards that most GLC decks play. Very unlikely we'll see a Mala and Lana come out. So there's Guzma and Hala. And Cynthia and Caitlin, nope, it's not prized. There it is. Just doing a nice prize check now for our dragon player, seeing what they've got to work with. Thankfully, we're getting a nice view of here, so we can kind of see what's in the deck as well. Looks like a lot of the standard type of Pokemon you'll see in a dragon deck. You've got your Gabites. I see a Axnew, so probably the new Haxorus is available. Not looking like anything too tricky. Dragon has definitely gotten a lot of new support in the last couple of sets. Finally got a dragon type Applin, so it's allowing people to play things like Flapple. Haxorus is also a very powerful Pokemon. Tatsuguri was another good add, which is just getting added to the bench now. This has a very good ability. It lets you look at the top, I think, 5 or 6 cards of the deck and take a supporter from there. Great Pokemon to be able to put into play after your opponent's taken a KO, and just to be able to find an extra supporter for turn, or really dig for a supporter that you need. Guzman Hala going down, Cynthia and Caitlin, and a Water Energy being discarded. So we're going to get a Stadium, an Energy, or Special Energy rather, and a Tool card. Lots of good options. Looks like our Dragon player wants a U-turn board, probably for that Tatsuguri. Stormy Mountain will help them set up, allow them to find another Dragon Pokemon. And we'll see what energy they want to grab here. Lots of good options for Dragon. You can see they've got a Unit Energy. And of course, Dragon Energy being considered there for a second. Obviously a very good energy. Might not want to waste it too early. Oh, Diz deciding to change from that U-turn board. See what they'll get instead. All right, yeah, Turbo Energize. That makes sense. Go ahead and get some energy in play. Since they are able to use the Stormy Mountain to find another Pokemon, they can go ahead and maybe find another attacker that they can start powering up. Looks like they get that Gibble. That middle stage evolution, Gabite, very powerful for Dragon GLC. It's got Dragon Call ability, lets you search for a Dragon Pokemon once per turn. Always going to run that in any Dragon deck. And then mini Garchomps you can choose as well. Typically people go with the Sonic Slip, which makes your Garchomp immune to attacks until the start of your next turn. Quick Ball going down, getting rid of that Technical Machine. Not going to use that. And getting Dratini. Guess our player didn't want to actually use that. Instead, just wanted to throw away a tool that they didn't want to have. Must have other cards in their hand that they want to keep. Dratini, another very good Pokemon to get down early. Dragonite makes up a very powerful card in the deck. It's got the ability to find a supporter once per turn. Oh, accidentally dropped a card there that they get shuffled right back in. One of the issues I would say that Dragon potentially has as a deck, it's getting more powerful, but it does rely very heavily on stage 1 in its Gabite, as well as stage 3 in its Dragonite to really see its full potential. those happen to be prized or you can't get them down for some reason, then you can definitely struggle. But our water player is going. They've got Nest Ball. See what Pokemon they will search for. Getting a good view of their deck as well. This is their first real deck search of the game, so we'll see if they've got any bad prizing. So far, we're seeing a lot of good stuff for them. Their Snom is in the deck. I think I saw Baxcalibur as well. Don't really need that mana feed that's showing. Dragon doesn't typically have very much bench damage. Ball Guy does go down as well, which we saw our water player grab the last turn. Depending on what's prized, may get their Hisuian Heavy Ball. So far, it's looking like they want their Quick Ball as well as a Dive Ball. See what other ball they decide to grab here. Water usually has a lot of different options. Level Ball, another good choice potentially. Probably not going to grab that Timer Ball right now. Don't have many things they want to evolve. So yeah, there we go. Got the Quick Ball, Dive Ball, and then I believe that was the Level Ball that they grabbed on the bottom. Interesting hand there for our water player. They do have their Wailord as well as the Lake Acuity, which will help protect their Wailord if they're able to get that down later. All of their Pokemon that have water or fighting energy attached will take 20 less damage. That does apply to both players. There might come into play actually because Dragon does typically run some fighting energy, but we shall see. They do have water energy as well, but definitely helping our water player a little bit more. That last ball was a level ball, so that's coming down. I'm guessing, yep, that Snom is probably going to be the choice here. You want to get that down so you can get into Frostlass pretty early. Decides to go for the Frigibax instead. Frigibax, with that evolution into Baxcalibur, it is a stage 2, so it's harder to get there, but Baxcalibur's ability is compensated by being more powerful than Frostlass. Frostlass requires your Pokemon to be on the bench for you to accelerate energy to them, whereas Baxcalibur can have the Pokemon be anywhere, so you can power up your active. Looks like we're getting an Escape Rope. So that Basket Legion is likely going to be what our water Pokemon player switches into. Tatsugiri makes perfect sense for our Dragon player. They're not worried about being KO'd here. And that way they'll have a nice way to search for a supporter next turn. And I do believe they just used their attack, so they're gathering the crew, finding some water Pokemon that they can get out of the deck. Snobble and Snom are looking like the choices. Two very good choices here to start setting up. And our water player is looking like they're in a very good spot. Dragon player also setting up very nicely. They would have obviously liked their story mount to not have been bumped there. Wanted to get that at least one more dragon into play. So unfortunate for our dragon player that that Lake Acuity was in hand. Looks like opts for the Kyogre and the Sobble instead. Likely because they already had their Frigibax, so didn't feel like they needed to get the Snom for the backup. Buddy Buddy Poffin going down for our Dragon player, just grabbing Axnew. Evolution Incense into Gabite. So now they've got that Dragon Call ability in play. Allowed them to search for a Pokemon. I don't believe they have used that just yet. If they haven't, I likely am guessing that we will see them go for that Dragonair, assuming it's not prized. But first off, wants to use his Tatsugiri's Attract Customers ability. It's a choice of a boss's order and a Crispin. Chooses the Crispin. Definitely makes more sense in this situation. Need to start getting some attackers powered up. Go ahead and plays it as well. Or actually, I guess no, that was the Dragon Call going for Regidrago. Didn't see before, but that Dragonair might be prized. Otherwise, they would have likely gone for that. At the same time, maybe they're feeling like they really need another attacker in play. See if they go ahead and play this Crispin. Looks like they are. This allows them to grab two different energies. One has to be attached to one of their Pokemon in play. The other one goes to their hand. It does have to be two different basic energies, so you can't grab two fire or two water. Looks like they opt for one fire and one water. We'll see where they decide to put these. If I had to guess, I would think it's probably going on the... oh no, it looks like it's going on Tatsugiri. I was not expecting that, but I guess they want to get the KO on this Basket Legion. Might be opting to go a little aggressive here. Player double checking to make sure that Stadium's not going to make them not be able to take the KO, but they are able to here. They take the knockout and get a prize. Up comes Kyogre. Wonder if that means that we've got Baxcalibur in hand, or ways to find it. Obviously, you got Irida, lots of other ways to search out for the cards that you need. We do know that they also have that dive ball from the previous turn with the ball guy. See if Baxcalibur is what comes out. Likely will be, especially if they have rare candy. Though they could also get a Drizzile, which they do to get that Shady Dealings. Shady Dealings is a very powerful ability. And Teleon has it as well. And all right, so I'm guessing Baxcalibur is already in hand since the rare candy comes out from the Drizzile's ability to search for one trainer card. Assuming they've got the energies in hand or a way to find them, which they probably do. Water has so many ways to find energies. All right, we got Baxcalibur in play. See if they've got a bucket or something else to be able to find energies. Actually, it doesn't look like they do, but they do have a Colress. Colress goes down. We'll let them shuffle their hand back into their deck, and they will draw, in this case, 8 cards, because it lets you draw cards equal to the number of benched Pokemon, both yours and your opponent. Honestly, the supporter I find a little overrated. It used to be something that I saw in pretty much every deck, and I feel like it's finally kind of worked its way out of mini decks. It tricks you a lot of times into thinking you're going to draw like maybe 10 cards. In this case, it does work out very well, but I feel like oftentimes when I play GLC or watch people play GLC, they will wind up chorusing for 2 cards, 3 cards, maybe 5 cards, which again is not terrible, but at a point, why not just play Cynthia or Tate and Lysa or many other cards that are just shuffle your hand back in and draw 5 or draw 6. More consistent that way and not having to rely on both you and your opponent having lots of Pokemon in play. But our player does get Snom as well as Lapras. Down goes I believe it's called Splash Energy. I can never remember what that one does. Did find a lot of energy from that Colress. This Colress was very generous to our water player. So they're able to get those into play with the Baxcalibur's ability. So I saw Manaphy and a Balloon. Does opt to just charge up with that, I believe it's called Wave Summoning. That first attack lets you find a water and attach it. Obviously couldn't use that second ability, which is what they really wanted to be able to do to take a KO here. But that's okay. Our Dragon player is not in a bad spot, but they're in a pretty good spot here. They don't have a lot of things powered up, so our water player is not feeling too threatened. Starts off with attracting customers with Tatsuguri for our Dragon player. Does find, looks like Justin Arvin is the only choice here, so almost certainly going to grab that one. Unlikely that they want to just grab nothing here unless there's a reason they want to keep their hand size small. Arvin goes down. We'll see if they play it. Looks like they will. Oh, nope, I guess they are not. Maybe they're doing Dragon Call here. Looks like what they're doing. And opting to go into Garchomp already. Does that potentially mean that the middle evolution for Axnu is prized? As in Dragonair at this point, I think has to definitely be prized. There'd be no reason not to start going into that, to start setting up for the late game. Unless our player is feeling very threatened, which could be the case, they do need to start taking KOs pretty soon. Our water player is basically fully set up. They've got Lapras down as a backup attacker in case Kyogre goes down. Oh, God does have the escape rope in hand. Is they going to play it? Debating the boss. Does use boss. Okay, goes for the Excalibur. Decides to retreat into the Garchomp. Getting this Baxcalibur down is a very good play here. If our other player had not found their Snom, this would be even more powerful because they wouldn't have a backup way to potentially get more energies down. But still, taking out that Baxcalibur is a fantastic play. Loses U-turn board and Dragonite. Might not be too bad to have lost that Dragonite since Dragonair seems to be prized. But we will see. On this turn, Garchomp is immune to damage. Hopefully our water player is aware of that. So Sonic Slip does keep you from being able to take damage after it has been played. Basically until the start of the Dragon player's next turn, that Garchomp cannot be hurt by damage. And I believe the effects of attacks as well, though I would have to double check that to be sure. I think our water player, did they just declare an attack? They did, yes. They declared an attack. And they did do on the Garchomp. Energies still do go to hand, but Garchomp takes no damage. Big mistake there from our water player. We'll see if that comes back to bite them. Gives a little bit of breathing room here for our Dragon player. Really, really big mistake there for our water player. They could have targeted one of the bench Pokemon, but opted not to. I guess they did not read that ability or did not know how it works. With Arven grabbing Rare Candy, and looks like they might be shuffling. So yeah, no tool card here. I guess they are out of them. They do have Float Stone in hand, and we already know that U-turn board went to the discard. So Rare Candy goes into Haxorus. Then we are shuffling back in, looks like Dragonite. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Dragonair is still in play. Debating if they want to get any of those energies back. If they want one or two. Looks like they do just opt for Dragonite as well as that water energy. Partially because of that big mistake from our water player, our dragon player is definitely looking in a much better spot. That Haxorus has very powerful attacks. For one metal energy, I believe, it can KO anything that has a special energy attached. And then the second attack is, I believe, a fighting and a metal to do 230 damage, and then you discard cards. So Kyogre gets knocked out, but it goes back to the hand because of the energy that was attached. Almost got saved by that Like Acuity, but I believe it's got 140 HP, so it was still just barely knocked out from Garchomp. It's like Marnie and one of their card got discarded. Snom comes to the active. It's probably not going to stay there, but just putting it up there temporarily as our player decides what they want to do. They do have Float Stone in play, or in hand rather, just to be able to retreat it when they need to later. For now, Kyogre is going to get another energy. What they really need here is to be able to find some way to get that Frostlass or Frostmoth to be able to start getting more energies. Hopefully going to find it with this Tate and Lysa. Shuffling their hand, putting it back into the deck and drawing 5 cards. They find that Shady Dealings and Teleon. That will put them in a pretty good spot because they'll likely be able to find all these things that they need to be able to get back into this game. Water is a very versatile deck with lots of attackers, so despite that big mistake, I wouldn't count our water player out. Doesn't look like they found anything amazing, though, from that. So they're going to opt for Beacon and find 2 water Pokemon and put those into their hand. I'm going to guess they're going to find the Shady Deals and Teleon as well as that Frostmoth. If our Dragon player doesn't have a way to shuffle those back in, like their Marnie, which unfortunately got discarded, or something like an N or Iono, then they might be in a little bit of trouble next turn. They do exactly grab that Frostmoth as well as the Inteleon. See how our Dragon player responds. It's like they're getting ready to play Escape Rope. I want to try to knock out one of those other Pokemon. Lapras is the pretty obvious choice there. You don't want to give up any of the rest of those Pokemon. Tatsuguri, also a good choice for our Dragon player to find another supporter. Does find that Iono. Likely will grab that. Shuffle those cards back in. Needs to slow down our water player. Very good here from our Dragon player. Very pivotal find in that Iono. Exactly what they needed to find here. You cannot let that player get... You know they've got energies in their hand from the Kyogre from earlier. You're shuffling those back in or putting those on the bottom of the deck as well as the Frostmoth and the Snom. They'll have to have a way to shuffle. Does look like our water player finds Tire Ball. So if they can get lucky, they might be able to just get those Pokemon right back. But we will see how that goes. Ooh, unfortunately, our Dragon player does not draw much of anything. They do get a, I believe I saw Parallel City, so that they can potentially bounce that stadium if they want to. Might not be a terrible idea here. We'll make the player discard, well, I guess probably just we'll do the Vulpix, so they might want to save that for later to get something a little bit more valuable. Loses another couple cards, but our Dragon player is looking in a decent spot here. Water is maybe struggling depending on what they can put together. They've got teammates though. Teammates can allow them to go find a couple cards. Likely will go get that Shady Dealings and Teleon right back. That's just too powerful of a card. Might even just grab that Frostlass right off it as well. And then 2 trainers from that Inteleon. See if that's what they ultimately opt for. Choosing 1 card here. Then again, they probably need a way to find some energies as well. So depending on what they need, Professor's Letter being considered. I was thinking that or Capacious Bucket. Both are good ways to be able to find some energies. So it does opt for that and gets 1 energy, 2 energies. We can see the Frostlass still on the bottom, so obviously did not, or Frostmoth did not choose that, but gets the Shady Dealings and Teleon. Let's see what trainers they decide to grab here. Debating Pot Helmet. Not really sure how much sense that makes. Evolution Incense, I do like that choice. What other trainer do they feel like they need here? Maybe another way even to be able to find more energies. They've got one in play, depending on what they've got in hand. They've got their bucket still. They may want that. Looks like they are opting for Guzma as well as the Evolution Incense, which gets played, so they can get that Frostmoth. Think the player thought that maybe Guzma was being played here. I think they were just reminding their opponent that they had already played a supporter. Probably just a little bit of confusion there. Just clarifying the board state. Getting back to what we were talking about, I'm guessing that our water player probably has another water energy in hand, which is why they did not find another way to get an energy, assuming they had one in deck. Looks like they do, but it's a special energy, and they had already attached one for turn, I believe, to that Kyogre. Or no, I'm sorry, they probably did use that with the Frostmoth instead. Always kind of a little hard to tell because it can't totally hear the players, but that would make more sense as far as what they did. Looks like players asking the question about the Haxorus and whether or not Wash Energy breaks it. I do remember this now. They did hand that to me. Wanted to double check just to make sure I remembered how Wash Energy worked. You are protected from that Haxorus's ability. Wash Energy makes you immune to the effects of all attacks. Haxorus's attack KOs things with special energies attached, which is an effective attack, so you are protected. That puts our dragon player in a very rough spot because now they cannot use their Haxorus. They have no follow-up attackers, really, to be able to KO over this Kyogre. They had maybe put an energy earlier on that Pokemon whose name I can't remember, Dragagon, or however you pronounce it. They might have been able to take a counter KO here, but they're going to struggle without that in play. So Garchomp does go down. Water takes... That is their first prize of the game, so they've got a long way to come back into this game. But with that Wash Energy and no backup attackers, and at this point, no Dragonite either for our Dragon player, they might struggle to be able to get back into this game. Likely going to do attract customers, look for another supporter. Here it goes. We do see Colress's Tenacity as well as a Gladion. Maybe can finally go get that Dragonair, assume it actually is in the prizes, but we'll see what they grab. Looking through the discard. Definitely lots of good cards already there. Put Crispin on top. They're maybe wanting a way to get that back. Versus Seeker is potentially in the hand, or maybe they're reminding that Palpad. Oh, yeah, no. Can't grab that Versus Seeker with that attract customers. You gotta grab a supporter. Looks like Gladion is going to be the choice there. Our player got a little ahead of themselves. They're like, ooh, yes, allows me to grab a supporter, so Versus Seeker. But that's not the exact same thing. So getting Gladion instead, we'll see if they play that. There is only, I believe, 2 prizes left for our Dragon player. So either they just chose not to get Dragonair earlier, or it's been prized this whole time and they might be able to go get it. They do play Gladion. And no, Trampa is in the prizes. That's the only Pokemon that's there, as well as Guzma. So they just opted not to get Dragonair earlier. See what they grab here. Both of those cards very good. Looks like Trampa is the choice. So those prizes get shuffled back up, put back down. Trampa will probably just get played here. Problem with that card, though, is one of your benched Pokemon needs to have damage on it. And they just don't currently. Yep, there's the Dragonair. So they've had it the whole time. They just chose not to get it earlier. That might ultimately come back to bite them if they're not able to find supporters. Though at the moment, this Wash Energy is really the bigger problem. There are no more basics in the deck, so they're just going to shuffle. Get to at least double check what they have left to work with. Our Dragon player is not out of this game. If they can somehow power up this Haxorus, they can take another KO. Looks like Parallel City is going down. Our player is actually debating which way they want to put it. And this time, it looks like they're putting it in a different direction than they typically would. So Dratini going to the discard. Guess they've decided it's way too late to get into that. And they are now limiting the damage that their water player or water opponent is doing. It's not typically played this way. Usually you want to limit your opponent's bench size. but they really want to take 20 less damage themselves from those water attacks. That could make a difference actually for their Haxorus to be able to stay alive from that wave crash. They do put 10 damage on that Pokemon on the bench by equipping the Rainbow Energy. That will help Drampa be a little bit stronger. They decided not to put that down because they are worried about it getting KO'd from this Kyogre. Looks like our water player is debating using Guzma. They just have so many options. Look at all those cards in hand. Despite the prize, situation, this is starting to look like a very good game for our water player. Might be making a good comeback here, despite that big error earlier with the Kyogre attacking the Garchomp. Looks like they do ultimately opt for Guzma. Do find that stadium to be able to bounce that. Wound up losing their Dratini for nothing there. 3 energies coming into play from the Frostmoth. Needed to get that to the bench so that they could get more energy on it. That was the power of at least getting that Baxcalibur out. Looks like Dragon Player thought they were going to attack the active, but no, this time we're going to opt for the bench and take out that Pokemon. They know they are safe from damage because of that wash energy, so they're not feeling very threatened by this Haxorus. Drampa goes down, but again, with nothing on the bench being damaged, this might really struggle to do anything. Looking harder and harder for our Dragon Player to come back. They get a Rescue Stretcher to get the Dratagon back down. But how are they going to power it? Their double Dragon Energy is in the discard. It was used earlier. They might have just gone through their resources a little bit too quickly. Looks like we are back to our Water Player's turn. They're debating what they want to do. Putting down the Heavy Ball lets them find a big, bulky Pokemon with a lot of retreat. I'm not sure they actually have any more choices. Wailord, I think, might be in the hand. So, probably just deck searching there. That, just wanted getting out of the hand. Don't want this going back into the deck if somebody Ionos or Marnies later on. We know that there is the water energies in hand, but you do need to get that Kyogre back to the bench if you want to be able to attack this turn. At least at the moment, not seeing any way for them to be able to do that in hand. They have Versus Seekers to potentially get Guzma back. They could do that again to pick off another Pokemon. Looks like they are debating doing that. Yeah, here comes the Versus Seeker. We'll see if they grab Guzma or another way to be able to switch, because they may just want to be able to take off this Haxorus. They could probably just secure the win here. I think almost no matter what. I'm really not really struggling to find a way for our Dragon Player to come back. They could potentially shuffle in some energy with Dragon Charge, maybe re-find that double Dragon Energy. Water Player is kind of just going all in on this Kyogre. They're not setting up their Wailord or anything else, so they don't have a way to, come back from this if it does manage to get KO'd somehow. We'll see what they decide to take out here. The safest bet is honestly potentially just the Dratagon, because that's the thing that can maybe counter KO if they've got Raihan. Can equip another energy on their next turn. But they look like they're opt for Drampa instead. They're more threatened by that. It's got 3 prizes left for our Water Player versus 2 for our Dragon Player. Puts down Aurora Energy and they discard Fracture. Doesn't obviously need that since they just went straight into the Haxorus with Rare Candy. And then just passes. So we're back to the same situation. Our Water Player has to find some way to get back to the bench to get those water energies back on. Despite their massive hand, they don't seem to have much going on for them. They've got a Nessa, which doesn't help Cynthia. They just don't want to shuffle those water energies back in, especially since their bucket is sitting in their hand. So they are just going to opt to retreat with that Floatstone. Going into that Vulpix. Maybe taking a turn off from attacking this time. Might give our Dragon Player the breathing room that they need to get back into this game. I didn't see a way for them to be able to switch back into the active that was in their hand. Looks like our Water Player is just double checking, seeing what they've got left. I believe they've already played their escape rope. Guzma has been played as well versus Seeker is down. We all know those are not in the hand. Opts for the Nessa, wants to get some of their resources back. Gonna go ahead and get that Frigibax and Baxcalibur, and then maybe a couple energies. I'm not sure what other water Pokemon they want him to grab. I guess they do want Lapras. Might not be a bad attacker to be able to set up later. Very easy to power. The Basque Legion pretty good. We do know they've got their evolution for that in the hand as well. Could be another good way to take a KO after one of their Pokemon gets KO'd, assuming one of their Pokemon does get KO'd if our Dragon player can get something going. Decides to put that down and then does Beacon. Dragon player looking at their hand. They know this is a difficult moment for them. Does have the special charge. Dragon energy almost certainly going back into the deck. Might see that Aura energy go back in as well. Or the Rainbow energy is another one that makes sense here. Both of those will go back in. Can our player find those? There's still some hope here if they can manage to get powered back up. Unfortunately, this Haxorus is not really helping them very much in the active at the moment. You know, this Alolan Vulpix is not really the target they want to take down. If they come up with their, I guess they can't even do the revenge with the Dradagon. Clearly, they just opt to pass again. In a very tough spot. Water taking good advantage, knowing that they could slow down the game a little bit, take a turn off, you know, set themselves up a little bit better. Putting down one energy, attaching for turn, playing a bucket. Don't actually know if there's any more water energy in the deck. I guess we'll see. Do have at least one. Two water energies come out of the deck. So plenty of water energies in the hand to be able to put those wherever our water player wants to. Opting to put extra energies on the Kyogre, it looks like. So guess they are looking to not have to retreat next turn. Very smart from our water player. Again, they're not feeling very threatened by their opponent at the moment. There is some potential that they could find the Dragon Energy and come up and counter KO this Kyogre with that Dradagon. But at least for the moment, they're not worried about that. And if they did just take that out, which looks like they're not opting to do, they're taking out the Haxorus instead. Player put those energies to the discard. I believe they'll fix that real quick and put those back into the hand. Yeah, just clarifying that they did have more energies and that those went to the... I'm sorry, no, that energy in the discard is actually from the Vulpix retreat. It's my mistake. But yeah, that was the players clarifying. They had the question there. Where do those energies... Why are there still two left here? And that was me confirming that those went back to the hand. So we do have that Regidrag in the active. Looks like Dragon's Horde was used. Actually, not sure what tool it's equipped. I believe it's a Float Stone, so they should be able to retreat in a little bit if they need to. Might go into that Tatsuguri. But this game has quickly turned around. It went from 6 prizes or 5 prizes to 2 down to 2 to 2. Gets that luxurious cape. Goes into Tatsuguri. Debates putting on energy, but decides to do attract customers first. There's the Dragon Energy. Unfortunately, can't grab that. But I do think that's Chorus's tenacity. Teammates, basically the same thing, but even better in this situation because you can potentially grab that Dragon Energy and then maybe a way to retreat if there's any left. Doesn't look like there are any in the deck, though, unfortunately. If there was a escape rope or a switch card or something in here, then they may be able to go up and take a counter KO and get in a much better situation. Especially since that luxurious cape is down. That could have turned around the game if they had a way to retreat here, but I don't think that they do. I missed what that second card was, but unless it's a way to switch, this might be the end of the game. They're debating taking that Raihan. They're really not sure what they want to do. Looks like I think they grabbed Raihan and then another supporter. I'm not sure what that second card was. Opts not to get the Dragon Energy. I'm guessing they're planning on getting that with Raihan next turn. Maybe they're just hoping their opponent is not going to have a way to be able to take a final KO on this next turn. We know their Guzma is down. Their Versus Seeker is down. I cannot remember if they played their boss. So there may not be any more gusting options. Field Blower gets rid of those ways to retreat. Very good from our Dragon player here. Limits the options once they hopefully take a KO. And unfortunately, due to technical difficulties, I did miss the last two prizes of this game. Did ultimately go to our water player here. Our Dragon player was not able to find the cards they needed. They did not have that switch card and was not able to take another KO. So the Kyogre was able to just take out two more Pokemon and win the game. But unfortunately can't see those last two, but thanks for watching this game. There we have it, there's our game. Again, like I said, Water ultimately took this game. Dragon not able to come back. Unfortunately did miss those last couple of turns, but our players did still come out and finish that game. What a fantastic game that it was. Really enjoyed watching that one. Hopefully you all enjoyed that one too. If you do like this content, please sure to give the video a like and a subscribe, as well as make sure you do a comment below. Other than that, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next game.